That's why chronic disease is so rampant, is especially in the Western world, is because so many of us have just lost touch with that part of us, and we've been so, I mean, Western society in general, I mean, it's very mental. Like, it's all we're all up in our heads rather than being in our bodies. I think if we just take the time and the space to listen to our bodies and feel what's going on in our bodies, that's the first step. That's all you have to do. Can I just sit still long enough and quiet the noise long enough to just feel what's going on in my freaking body? Like, what is it telling me? Are there things where I feel resistance? Do I feel funny in any parts of my body? But it's just like doing a body check-in, like a body scan, just to feel what's going on in my body. And just doing that on a regular basis for a while, for a couple weeks, that's just that could be the first step of just, I'm tuning into my body, I'm listening. Also another thing to trust it and then to do what it's asking.
Welcome, Hope Pedraza, to the podcast today. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
Thank you. Me too. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, amazing. And I know there's going to be so many things that come out. It's really going to help people understand their bodies better, their minds better, and their emotions better. And what I'd love to dive in first is just hear some about your story and where did you come from and how did you find yourself in this work and helping people in this way?
Yeah. Um, as far as starting like this avenue of my business, my background is in dance. I danced for 20 however many years, and that led me into Pilates, which led me to opening my brick and mortar Pilates and fitness studio. And so when I opened my studio, I wanted to create this one-stop shop. Like, you can get everything you want in one place. So we had, the Pilates, the HIIT, the mindfulness, the yoga, and I wanted to provide some sort of nutrition support for people. So I started out as just a basic nutrition coach, just offering, basic support. And I was working with mostly women at the time, and well, actually all women at the time. And I was recognizing that, we were having these conversations because I wanted to, lose 10 pounds or 15 pounds, whatever. It was pretty like standard stuff that, women talk about. I want to tone up and I want to, but when I'm working with them, I'm seeing that what's actually going on in their bodies requires deeper conversations than talking about calories and macros. And so that really led me down the path of becoming a functional practitioner, because I wanted to be able to reach these women that I was working with at a deeper level and really get to the root cause. And then as that evolved, and then as I evolved as a human, I think just kind of with my own personal evolution, that the business also evolved. And I was seeing, I was dabbling in human design and working with some spiritual coaches and kind of on my own spiritual like energy healing journey, and seeing that another thing that I picked up was that the women I was working with, like, yes, they have these physical things going on in their body, but all of the physical things, I was learning this along the way, all these physical things that were happening have this energetic emotional root cause. And so I wanted to be able to bring that level of support as well. And so that led me to bring in things like human design and NLP and hypnotherapy and all these other energetic and subconscious modalities that I use with my clients. So it's just been ever evolving as I evolve. And you know how it is. And anybody listening who has ever, started a business, it evolves with you. And so I think I've always, my goal has always been, to be able to support people at the deepest level possible. I'm a deep person at heart. Like, I don't like, I'm not one for small talk. And it's just why I love podcasts and being on podcasts. We get to have these deep conversations. And I want to provide that
Yeah.
same depth to the people that I work with.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I love that. And it's so true. Everything evolves as you evolve. It very
Hmm.
much parallels your own healing journey. And so much of what you said, I can very much relate to. I'm a physical therapist by trade. And I'm like, there's more to this than what people are
Yeah.
experiencing. There's
Yeah.
a deeper root cause. And it's just like putting people through stretches or manipulating them is only scratching the surface of what's
Right.
going on beneath. And
For
so
sure.
I love that approach. And I think that needs to be coming out more so, looking at what's going on beneath the surface. And you talked about energies. Can you talk about that a little bit more? Like, how do the energetic bodies and our emotions play the role in what's coming out to the surface and what we're seeing within the body?
Yeah, yeah, such a good question. And I love this piece. So emotions are just energy in motion. And I'm sure your listeners have heard that before. But the fact is that it is just energy in the body, emotions. When we have an emotional response, it's a physiological chemical reaction in the body, right? There's hormones and neurotransmitters and chemicals working in our body that creates this chemical response in the body.
Mhm.
So it causes specific things to happen in the body. And when we either suppress, repress, stop it, hold it in. Like we're not letting these things to move and flow, which is what they're designed to do. Emotions are meant to move, they're meant to emote. Then this is what can cause stagnation in the body. Stagnation, block, like energy stagnation or blockages, or just feeling that stuck energy in the body. Our life force energy isn't able to move freely through the body. And so I work a lot with energy centers, which, some people might resonate with the word chakras. Some people may like the word energy center better. But the fact is, we have these energy centers in the body. And for me, the energy centers are kind of this like the bridge between the physiological body and the energy body, like the physical and the energy body. And because the all of these energy centers correlate with specific glands in the body that emit specific hormones. And so when we're talking about energy, and we're talking about these energy centers, we're still talking about, how this connects with the physical body and what's happening on the physical body. So for me, all of this is connected. I know Western medicine does a really good job of compartmentalizing these different aspects of us, but we can't deny that the mind, the body, the soul is all one. And so for me, the energy part and the emotion part, this is just connecting that. And it's seeing how we're operating at this energetic level that's causing these physical things to manifest at the body, because there are, energy, there's stagnation or blockages or whatever for that life force energy being able to flow through the body.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, and it's so true. I mean, you can see so much of like, okay, let's just address this one little thing, but like you're missing the big picture when you're
Mhm.
doing that. And so, obviously there's a time and place for Western medicine, but like if
Sure.
you're not looking at the holistic approach, you're missing a big part of that and understanding that. And when we talk about like the blockages, because so many people who listen to this podcast, and like myself included for most of my life, have disassociated from our bodies. We have
Hmm.
suppressed so many things in our life. We don't even realize that we've been living on autopilot for so long. And we don't even realize how many emotions have been pushed down. How did you start to connect with yourself, or how do you help others connect with themselves and understand the emotions that they're actually experiencing?
Yeah, that's a good question. And you're right. I think I mean, honestly, I feel like that's why chronic disease is so rampant, is especially in the Western world, is because so many of us have just lost touch with that part of us. And we've been so, I mean, Western society in general, I mean, it's very mental. Like it's all we're all up in our heads rather than being in our bodies. And so for me, that's kind of the first step, is can I just get my clients back in their bodies? And it sounds so like simplistic and like silly even, because like that's it. But yes, like, because I think if we just take the time and the space to listen to our bodies and feel what's going on in our bodies, that's the first step. That's all you have to do. Can I just sit still long enough and quiet the noise long enough to just feel what's going on in my freaking body? Like, what is it
Mhm.
telling me? Are there things where I feel resistance? Do I feel funny in any parts of my body? But it's just like doing a body check-in, like a body scan, just to feel what's going on in my body. And just doing that on a regular basis for a while, for a couple weeks, that could be the first step of just, I'm tuning into my body, I'm listening. And then I think from there we can start to add on things, because I love when my clients can listen to their body and tune in, but it's also another thing to trust it and then to do
Mhm.
what it's asking. Is it asking you to slow down? Is it asking you to, check in with a certain body? Is it asking you to get support for something that you need to help bring balance back to, or bring function back to? So just listening, and then can we heed what those signs and signals are telling us,
Mhm.
and trust it and do something about it?
Yeah, that's such a huge part in just actually like listening to it, because there's so
Hmm.
many that can be like, oh yeah, I've been feeling this pain, but I have to work this many hours. I have to
That's
drive this
it.
far. I have the kids.
Yeah.
How do I actually slow down? Like, and so for so many people who are high achievers, go-getters, like the idea of slowing down can like ignite so much fear in you, because you
Yes.
think, okay, like if I slow down, then what doesn't get taken care of? So
Right.
how do you guide people towards actually moving towards listening to their bodies and slowing
Yeah.
down and not like getting caught up in the cycles they've probably
Yeah.
lived most of their lives?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the big piece, is that I was having I was on another gal's podcast yesterday, and we're having this conversation, because it's not as simple as, and I think I saw something on Instagram maybe that said something like, telling someone who's burned out to just rest more is so not helpful. Like, just slow down,
So true.
okay? Like, just don't be stressed, okay? Like, it's
Yes.
just not helpful. And so I think the same thing, where it's, just telling somebody just slow down and listen to your body, can be a little like, okay, cool. But there is there's a rewiring really that has to happen there, because that's the part. And you hit the nail on the head. Like, it doesn't feel safe for a lot of high achieving women to slow down. It doesn't feel safe. So they feel, and I did a series on my podcast about this. We call it ambition, we call it dedication, but it's really a trauma response because we don't feel safe slowing down. And
Mhm.
so that requires a whole rewiring in our brain for us to be able to not associate doing and productivity and pushing and forcing with safety. So, can we rewire it? And now we can feel safety while we rest. So, there's a rewiring that has to happen. We have to get in there and reprogram those neural pathways. Otherwise, you're right. It's just going to be this perpetual cycle. And then same story, different day, over and over and over again, because we equate rest with not being safe. So that
Mhm.
it's just really it's not as simple as just telling yourself. It's a rewiring. And so for me, it's why I tie in so many the modalities that I use with, NLP, or if we do EFT tapping or hypnotherapy, like all of these subconscious modalities to help get in there and start to rewire and bring that safety back to rest. So we can put those two back together.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many messages that we get, especially, in America here. It's like, you got to work more. Like, if you're not
Mm-hmm.
making enough, you need to
Yep.
do more. If
Yep.
you have to have both parents working constantly, take care of the kids. Like, it's just this constant go, 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 go. And then
Yes.
you're exhausting yourself. And then everyone's telling you you're not doing enough. And it's
Yeah.
like, you're like beating your head against the wall and that. So,
Yes.
yeah, it's like getting to that root of it of like, okay, why do I feel this way? Why do I
Yep.
feel like I have to always show up
Yep.
100% for everything? It's so true, and that those beliefs, they run your life
They do.
completely.
Yeah. And I think so
Absolutely.
many, especially high achieving women, the piece that keeps that cycle going is we have our worth attached to our productivity and our output. And so
Yeah.
the only sense of worthiness that we have, that validation we have, is how much we're doing. How much can we
Mhm.
do, and how much can we produce, and how much can we. And so it's really detangling that piece. Like, can we disconnect our worth from productivity and just, and that's a big piece I work with a lot of my clients is, again, it sounds very simplistic, but it's, can we just hone in on our inherent worth and
Yeah.
detach from having to be productive or resourceful or doing, and
Absolutely. Yeah, and, like, some of the most simple things are not the easiest. They're usually the hardest
Yeah,
things because
exactly. Totally.
yeah, because it seems so simple cognitively, but yeah, like, actually embodying it
Mhm.
gets really tough when you've been driven for
Yeah.
much of your life and you've been rewarded for that,
Yes,
either
exactly.
financially or praised, or you have
Right.
this identity of this person who you're the go-to person, everyone relies on you. It's really challenging. Yeah. So,
Mhm.
no, I appreciate you saying that it's not easy, because for anyone listening to this and you're like, it sounds great, like,
Yeah.
but it is, it's
Yeah.
really can be difficult to change some of those, but possible. And that's the
Yeah.
big thing, is like, it's always possible. If you're 40, 50, 60, like, you can still make those changes. Your brain's always
Yes.
adaptable. And that's the power that we all have within us,
Mhm.
which is
Yep, for
tremendous.
sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. One thing you talk about, like, I would love to hear more about is minerals. You say how, minerals can really be a big healing modality. Can you
Mhm.
talk about minerals, the role they play in our bodies, and how we can use that maybe as an avenue to understand what's going on within us?
Yeah. So minerals are kind of that foundational piece that I work with my clients. And I think they're so undervalued, and also I think they're also very misunderstood. And because, we want, I always tell this to my clients, we want the big sexy results, like fix my hormones and make me look good, right? But
Mhm.
it's like the external aesthetic things, which there's nothing wrong with that, but we have to start at a foundational level. And for me, that's what the minerals are. Yes, I would love to fix your hormones so that they're working right, but the hormones are never the root cause. It's always
Mhm.
something deeper causing the hormones to misfire or be imbalanced.
Mhm.
And with the minerals are considered the spark plugs in the body, meaning basically every reaction in the body involves minerals, whether they're the catalyst or the cofactor, they're involved in some way, shape, or form. Every neurotransmitter, hormone, enzyme, like all of it requires minerals at some level. And so this is the foundational piece of what's going on in our bodies. And so this is where I always start with my clients. Like, yes, I'll look at we'll do a gut lab, we'll do a hormone lab, but the minerals are where we start. And I love the minerals too, because I was mentioning before about the energy centers in the body. And the energy centers are all correlated with specific glands, which are responsible for specific hormones. And minerals, specific minerals and how they interact with each other also affect hormones. So for me, it's all like putting these puzzle pieces together because I can look at someone's minerals. We'll do it. The lab that I run is called an HTMA, or it's a hair tissue and mineral analysis. So you're literally sending in some of your hair as a tissue. And it's going to give you a completely different look at your minerals than going to the doctor and getting a blood lab, which I'm not against blood labs. That's fine. But I do like to look at things a little bit differently. And I love when my clients, they're like, oh, I just did a blood with my doctor and they said this about my minerals. And I'm like, okay, let's put that together with the lab that I'm running. And now we can get a better picture of what's going on. Because with an HTMA, because it's hair as a tissue, you're getting a better look at what's going on chronically in the body. So we have a better look at what's going on over a period of time versus a snapshot in time, which is what a blood lab is.
Mhm.
And so we have a better picture, but and then we can also see how the minerals interacting with each other because it's not just about looking at each individual mineral at face value. It's how they're interacting with each other because I have such special relationships. And so when we look at the big picture and then we go in at looking at it at a deeper level, then we can see, okay, how these are interacting, affecting your hormones, your adrenals, your thyroid, your ovaries, your cycle. We can look at all those pieces. And then we can tie it into the energy body. And human design is another tool that I use. So I love to kind of put those pieces together. And I can look at human design. Okay, this is how your energy is designed to flow through these centers. And this is why these, so we can start to put the pieces together. But it all starts with the minerals. I think the other thing too, why I love this is because it's for a lot of women that I work with, it's proof or validation where it's like I've been feeling like something's off, but it's either, not quote serious enough for a diagnosis or they've maybe been brushed off by other physicians or practitioners or doctors, but they're like, I know something is off. Like does something doesn't feel right. And so they're questioning like, am I crazy? Am I imagining things? Am I and we get the lab and it's like, no, you're not. This is what's happening. And a lot of times it's not even about like, oh, my body's falling apart and I've got 55,000 things going wrong in the body. But, high achieving women, we want to optimize. We don't want to just feel okay. Like we want to optimize. We want to feel amazing while we're doing the things we're doing and, playing all the roles we're here to play. So the minerals I find can be that piece that really impacts the body at a cellular level because that's what's going on at a cellular level. It's the minerals.
Yeah, so interesting. And like, are there certain like symptoms that we may feel like if we're deficient in a certain mineral? Like, can you share just like a few examples of what
Yeah.
we may be experiencing
Yeah.
with a few minerals that
Hmm.
you examine?
Yeah, for sure. So I think the most common, this is very like vague symptom, but
Hmm.
everybody listening is going to be like, yeah, but I know what that's like is energy. And
Hmm.
it's either lack of energy altogether, it's unstable energy where maybe you have energy, but there's like energy crashes throughout the day. Maybe it's energy and you wake up, you don't necessarily feel rested. So the energy piece is always a big one. I think brain fog is probably the second most common. Brain fog, not being able to concentrate, maybe memory issues. I've had multiple clients who thought they had ADHD and were prepared to go to the doctor and get on medication because they're like, I can't function at my job. Like I got to be able to function, and it was minerals. It wasn't ADHD. It was minerals. So I think the brain fog and just kind of like brain function is a big symptom there. Also, with so that the main minerals that can be out of balance are typically magnesium, sodium, and potassium. And there's four macro minerals: calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium. And those four we use the most of, and we lose the most of, and we need the most of. So those are the easiest ones to get out of whack. And I think those are the ones I see out of balance the most. And typically it's things like the energy part I talked about, maybe sleep issues, brain fog, headaches. Maybe it's muscle pain or fatigue, or they don't feel great after they do a workout. Like workouts should make you feel energized and feel good, but maybe they feel worse after they do a workout. If they have irregular periods or just really horrible periods, maybe if they're perimenopause and it's like the perimenopause symptoms are like through the roof. I can hardly function as a human because perimenopause is kicking my butt. So it's like exacerbating just things that are already kind of out of balance in the body. Um, and then, and yeah, and I think too of just like, I know this goes along with energy, but chronic fatigue, and this is not like diagnosed like chronic fatigue syndrome, but like chronic fatigue, just constantly not having enough energy to get me through the day. And I think that's so common because And it's such a big deal for people I mean, that's what affects how you're showing up. And if you have a business, if you have a job, if you have a family, if you have kids, if you have, like it affects how you're showing up for everybody. So the
Mhm.
energy piece is huge, and I feel like that's probably the biggest um like effects immediate, like not immediate, but the ones we see the quickest effects when we start to address the minerals is they automatically feel a shift in their energy, which is a big
Yeah.
deal for us.
Yeah, 100%, and I think so many of us get used to having lower energies
Hmm.
that you don't even realize maybe there's
It's just your
something. Yeah,
normal.
you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is doesn't everyone feel
Yeah.
like this?"
Right.
"Of
Right.
course I feel like this. I'm doing all these jobs and all the things," but, like, it's not until you ha make those changes and you're like, "Oh my gosh," like, you have so much clarity of, like, "That wasn't normal."
Yes.
It's like
Yes.
very much like the muscles can hold tension for so long, and
Mhm.
then until you actually get a release, you're like, "Gosh, I didn't realize how much tension I was holding in my body," until you
100%.
actually experience the other side of it, so
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, it's tremendous how you can see things differently when you actually address some of these
Yeah.
root causes of
Yeah.
it.
And how and what's possible on the other side. Like I didn't know I could
Yeah,
feel this good. That kind of
right.
thing.
Yeah, absolutely, and, like, with that, so if someone, comes up, they're deficient or, maybe they have too many minerals, whatever it is, like, their levels are off, they address the minerals. Is it in conjunction with other modalities, or is that enough to actually give them this change in their
Yeah, I
experience?
mean, it's usually in conjunction, but a lot of
Mhm,
times that is a big piece of it. I mean, we're doing other things at the same time, but when I have a protocol for someone, working with their minerals, I work directly with this lab that formulates the supplements exactly to the HTMA. So you're getting exactly what your lab said that you needed, whatever's deficient, whatever's out of balance. So it is curated, customized for your body. And a lot of times that makes all the difference in the world rather than just going to get a multivitamin, which is fine.
mhm,
But this is so customized that it's literally what your body, what your cells are asking for. And then,
mhm,
of course, it's in conjunction with other things because the other thing is, you can't out supplement a dysregulated nervous system. You can't
mhm,
out supplement, an emotionally wrecked body. So I
mhm,
think that's the other piece. I tell my clients this all the time. You can spend thousands of dollars on the best supplements, but if you haven't addressed your stress response, if you haven't addressed your nervous system, then you're just peeing out a lot of money because
mhm.
it's really not doing anything. So I
Yeah.
think yes, the minerals can make a huge difference, but it really does have to be, in tandem with these other things that we're
Mhm.
doing.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that because I think that's always often a lost understanding because everyone's like, I'm doing all the things, especially with like Instagram where they hear all these
Hmm.
things, do 5 of these and they get all the things and they spend all this money and they don't feel any difference because your body's not receptive. It's not
Yep,
able to heal when it's in that
that's
stress
it.
response. So it's so crucial. And again, that root cause is really something that needs to be talked about and addressed more rather than just putting band-aids on gushing wounds
That's
that we
it.
see so often in
Hmm.
our modern society.
Hmm.
You talked about human design. Do you mind just going into that a little bit more? What
Yeah.
is that, and how do we get to know ourselves a little bit more through human design?
Yeah. So human design is essentially your soul's energetic blueprint. So it's how your energy is designed to function here on this earth, function within your body, with other people, or relationships, with the universe. So it takes some ancient teachings, things like I mentioned the chakra system earlier. So like the chakra system, astrology, the Kabbalah tree of life, the I Ching, and it puts it together with some modern day sciences like quantum mechanics and quantum physics and neuroscience, and it puts it together in this chart. And it is literally your energetic blueprint. How is your energy designed to move and flow and operate? And so I love this piece. For me, it was so transformational understanding. I mean, it's, understanding yourself, first of all.
Mhm,
It's understanding it's this um, validation and this just kind of this I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but I guess validation is the word I'm looking for.
mhm,
Validating like these pieces of yourself that maybe you wanted to hide or shove away or push aside. And it's like, no, this is how I was designed. I was divinely designed in this way. And for me, I love putting it together with the work that I do because again, it kind of going back to what we were saying before, this connection between the physical body and the energetic body. Because yes, we can look at what's happening in the physical body, and that's great because we want to know what's going on. But if we want to know why those things are happening on the physical body, let's look at how your energy is flowing. And so being able to put those pieces together and we can see where the patterns and where the conditioning is within the body, and then we can work to decondition those pieces and kind of untangle those patterns so that now we can get the energy flowing back into the body and start to heal the physical body.
Yeah, amazing. And then can you give some of the examples of like what are some of the human design patterns and what
Yeah.
people might see
Yeah. Yeah.
themselves in, or just some examples of
hmm
those?
So there's five main types. So you can go, everybody listening, you can go online and you can get a chart for free. There's a good zillion websites out there. I always recommend using myhumandesign.com. I think she does the best job of simplifying it so you're not looking because there
Mhm.
are so many rabbit holes to go down and
Yeah.
it very complex.
Mhm.
And so, but you really you don't have to go down on all the rabbit holes to get what you need, really. I mean,
Mhm.
just knowing a few high level pieces can be enough to completely change your life. Trust me. So there are five main types. And I think the big, just if you can know and understand your type, your authority and your profile, like even just those three pieces,
Mhm.
you could learn that and stop there and never learn anything else, and that's plenty. So
Mhm.
for the types, there's just giving you some examples. You're asking about examples.
Mhm.
So there are two of the types. There's a generator and manifesting generator. 60% of the population are a generator type. So one of those two, either a generator or manifesting generator,
Mhm.
which means the generator types, just what it sounds like. You think about a generator, it's constantly generating energy. These are energetic beings. These are the doers. These are the people that are doing the thing and they are doing the thing all the time and they have the staying power to keep doing the thing.
Mhm.
So if you think about it, 40% of the population is not a generator type, but because it's the majority of the population, that 40% is conditioned to operate like a generator type, which can cause a
Mhm.
lot of issues in the physical body because that's not how you're designed to operate. And
Mhm.
so another type is called a projector. And projectors, I've worked with a lot of projectors before, and they can especially be conditioned by being in this generator world. And I've worked with a lot of projectors working with a lot of burnout,
Mhm.
a lot of thyroid issues from just not knowing how to use their voice in the best way. Your thyroid is connected to your throat chakra, so your voice. And so there's a lot of deconditioning and understanding how am I designed to work. Projectors need more rest and they need more downtime and they don't have that consistent staying power. So understanding that, like, I had a projector one time and we did so much work together. She had a ton of issues when she came to me, and basically she had to quit her job. She had to move back home. She couldn't work because she didn't have any energy. She could hardly get out of bed, could get up to walk her dog. And we did so much work together and she did so much healing. She ended up going to massage therapy school and opening up her own practice. But I remember we had a call kind of close to the end of our work together, and she was like, "Tell me how much, she couldn't believe how much energy she had." And she's walking her dog and she's going on hikes. And she's like, "Yeah, but then, a lot of times I do feel like I need an afternoon nap." And I'm like, "Okay, take an afternoon nap."
Mhm.
Like, this is your projector energy being like, "Hey, I need you to
Yeah.
calm down for a second and let me take a
Mhm.
rest. And when I wake up, I'll be fine." So
Mhm.
it's understanding these pieces and like we were talking about signs and signals earlier, listening to what your body's asking for, understanding how your energy operates, and then giving yourself permission to listen to that and to do what it's asking. So, and I've worked with so many different types and really just like similar things, just untangling these patterns that
Mhm.
they feel like I will have to operate in this way and I have to do things this way. And
Mhm.
it's like, no, you don't, because your design is designed for you to do it this way. So
Mhm.
it's just kind of a lot of times it's flipping everything they thought they knew about themselves on its head and doing things in a completely different way. But that makes all the difference in the world because it's now you can approach things with more compassion and love for yourself.
Yeah.
You see yourself in a different way, you understand yourself at a different level, and there's just so much more ease and fulfillment when we're doing things in that way instead of trying to force things to happen in a way that it's just not designed to.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's like, trying to fit everybody into that same mold, and we feel that
Yeah.
pressure to like meet the expectations. But it's like
Yeah.
when we understand ourselves, it's like giving ourselves permission, having that validation of like, okay, this is who I am, this is what I uniquely
That's it.
need, and I don't have to be like that other person.
Yep.
And a world of comparison, that is such a reward to ourselves of like, oh, I don't have to be like that person. That's great that they get up at 4 a.m. and they're
Yeah.
hustling and everything because
Yeah.
that's what their
That's
body
them.
and their
Hmm.
system is saying that's okay for them, but this isn't how I work. And so it's
Right.
just that permission of like, you don't have to be like that person. You can still be
Exactly.
successful in your own right.
Yes.
Yeah,
100%.
beautiful. And then as far as kind of putting this all together, what does that look like in your life? So can you just like run us through like how do you integrate these practices in your daily routine, and how does that look for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've been working with my human design for a long time. And so
Mhm.
for me, it's more about creating this space to integrate these things and to come back to myself. And for me, that's what it is. It's just taking the time to come back to myself. And when I kind of get caught up in that cycle of, the hustle or the grind and like, okay, hold on, let me pump the brakes and like come back to me and listen, like tune back into my body. So
Mhm.
for me, meditation is a non-negotiable for me. I meditate every day without fail, whether I'm tired, whether I don't feel like it, like meditation for me. And it's not, it sounds like it's a dogmatic thing, but for me, I know how it serves me. And so it's a non-negotiable for me. Like I take the
Mhm.
time and space to do that regardless. And then, I do some other somatic practice. I love breath work. I love nature walks and getting outside. I love journaling. And so for me, it's just those mindfulness practices just to come back to me and to remember who I am, who I was designed to be, how I was designed to operate when I'm feeling things like another thing you can learn with your human design is called your not self theme. It's basically the emotion, the feeling that comes up when you're out of alignment with your design. Mine is frustration or impatience. And so I
Mhm.
know if I'm feeling frustration or impatience, something's off. So can I step back and kind of reassess? Do I need to go do a quick meditation, lock myself in the room and do a quick meditation before finishing, whatever I'm doing working, or do I need to? So it's just tuning into my body on a consistent basis. It's being intentional with the mindfulness practices and in integrating all of these things in my body and just listening to my body. I really think that the most underestimated thing we can do as women is listen to our body
Mhm.
and do what it's asking. I really don't know if I said that earlier, but I really feel like that is life changing. Just listening
Mhm.
to our bodies and hearing what it has to say.
Yeah, I totally agree because I mean, I think so many of us are trained to like just ignore the signals. And it's
Yeah,
like,
push it down, keep
yeah, you think
going,
about
keep
doing
pushing.
that to a kid. If you ignore a kid over and over and over again, they're
Right.
gonna be like, they yell louder, like your
Yep,
body's gonna start yelling louder. And it does that. Like when we ignore it or we suppress it, like it wants to be heard. And it's not the enemy, it's the advocate. And that's such
that's
a huge
it.
piece because especially like in today's world, like there's so much of like your body's falling apart, the wordage that people use, my body's falling apart. Oh,
Yep,
this is broken. Like that all plays into how we see ourselves. And if
for
we're
sure.
expressing that against our body, and we're not realizing how much knowledge and power we have within ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
it's tremendous. I couldn't agree more. The body is such a powerhouse for us if we just learn
Mhm.
to tune into it.
Yep,
And
that's it.
yeah, so I so appreciate everything you shared today. And for someone who wanted to connect with you and get to know more about your services, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me. My website is hopefulandwholesome.com. I have a podcast by the same name called Hopeful and Wholesome. And I'm most active on Instagram, so you can find me there. I'm at the Hope Pedraza.
Amazing. I'll put everything in the show notes. So if you're listening, definitely connect with Hope. And if you found benefit in anything in this episode, please share it with someone who could also benefit from it. There's only through sharing that we really can cultivate a whole society of understanding that we can heal from within. So thank you so much, Hope. I appreciate
Thanks,
everything you shared
Kelly.
today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.